Uh, Good morning. Sir, we'll wait for a couple of minutes and then we will start.
Madam, we can start now.
We'll wait till it is 2 p.m.
Wait for 5 minutes. Let's see others will join.
Hmm.
Then we'll start.
Okay. Good afternoon. Um, yes, Prerna, that you're online. Did you submit your assignment? Prerna, I'll not be able to evaluate you if you do not submit the assignment. You understand that? You will not be scored on this course if you do not submit the assignment. Okay, in that case, we move forward today and we work with some variations that is there for pattern making. Uh, there are, so we work with the basic pattern set, the bodice the skirt and the sleeve. So today we are going to take it forward, take the bodice pattern and do some variations, take the skirt pattern and do certain variations. So please give me a couple of minutes so that I can set up the device and we can switch on to there.
Right. So this is what our designs look like in the beginning. So if I take this as the bodice, this is our front and back bodices. So if we take this the front and back basic bodice, this design one in the front, design two be the back. So this is how our designs essentially look like. But if we try to change the take the design and make some variations out of this. So, for example, we can have a design where we just have the waist that yet the design is completely fitted. Or we most often we have a design where in the design we have two dots like this on the side seam, or a design where we have two dots around the armhole like this. So, for today's session, what we are going to do is first we are going to understand how we take the original dots and we shift it around this pattern. So to do this, we can simply start by taking the pattern and we'll retrace it first so that I do not damage my original design. I do not damage the original pattern. So for that, I will retrace it, aligning the center front line so that I have one less line to cut. is the neckline, shoulder line. I'll mark the darts also. Armhole, side seam. Is this lines also so that I have a reference line, the darts, and I'll also mark the bust point. So this is how my pattern looks like as of now. I will complete these lines. Now here I'm going to take the darts. Initially, if you remember in this design, we need the darts 1 inch away from the first point, but in this case, while I'll be working with the dart manipulation, we will be uh, taking the darts till the bust point, and it is around the bust point that we will shift the darts. We will take the darts and rotate it to, to connect both the darts at the bust point. And now let me just cut it out. Using a pattern like this. So for the first design that we have, where we have to shift the dart to the base level, I will take it and I will cut this restart because we originally I did not draw it here, but we had a center line on the restart as well. Let me just redraw the center line. This is essentially the center line, and I will cut on the center line. When I cut on the center line and I hold start, hold the shoulder darts, what happens is the base dart opens up. It was just hold the shoulder down, and you can see here that there is an opening, extra opening that has been created here. If I simply take this and retrace this pattern, and here I will take this as the dartlet. This one is the dartlet, not the inside part, but the outside one. This is a dartlet. And with the dart being folded, I complete the tracing. This point as well. Here we have the dot. I complete the bust level. If I complete the bust level here, you will realize that the bust level now has got a little, curved around the bust point because of course all the darts have come and come to the bottom of the bodice. We take the French curve and bend this point a little. I also have to true the start. So, similarly, like we did for our basic pattern, I will take this pattern once here, and here, and I run the tracing wheel down from the blended point. Let us blend it once first. On the blended line, we run the tracing wheel, and let us cut the pattern one. We have the pattern right there now. So this will essentially translate back to this design A. So this is how it will look like. And the things that we will again write on this pattern are the same line. We still write it as a bodice, but we also write that manipulated waist. This is the front pattern. So we write front size, whatever the size is for this is size A, like the cut 2 or cut 1, depending on what is the design. This completes the first design. Coming to the second design, the second design essentially is that we have all the dots at the side screen. Second, we can take the pattern where we have essentially, you know, traced pattern. We have something like this. And it's just no. We have to be a little careful here because we have already made the cut. Now, essentially, we need the pattern where the design, the start is at the side seam. So first we identify where we want to start to do. So we can clearly see that the parts are a little slanted. So essentially, the side seam point is a little down from the bust level. So we have to take this point as the dot point. And from here, we join it with a dot, join the bust point with a straight line. And just get a sellotape, just giving 1 minute. I'll get a sellotape and we keep the same pattern. We negotiate the part that we have made that we can move other parts and use the same pattern to make other manipulations as well. And just keeping down the cut that we have made for the base manipulation. And now we will make a cut on this line that we made here. We will cut it and we take these two parts and we use these two parts. We close and we close it like this. And we take this Use it like this. So what we get is a dart which is here. This when translated will give you this design, the design number. Now, when we are doing this again, please note the bus level. So in this case, the bus level is so in this one again we have a rotated bus level because all the darts have gone to the bottom side of the bus level. Here also because we have the all the darts at the bottom side of the bus level. Our bus level has gone a little, curved around like this. Let's find it this design, the design number C. Now, the design number C is a little different, wherein all the darts are at the armhole. So let's first identify where in the armhole we want the dart. So let's say we want it here, and I will again join it with straight line, with the first line. I will take these and use the cut that we have made so that we can again use the same cutting graph to do its manipulation of any number of drafts. And remove this is one pattern and for practice you can keep on repeating the same draft. Let's start on this armhole line this time. The line that goes from armhole to the first one. Let's rotate this down. Hold all the dots that are there. And now we have an opening in the armhole. And note here, this time, unlike the other two times, the curving has gone in a different shape. In this one, we have the curve on the upper side. Here we have the curve happening on the lower side, like a curve, downward curve we have created. So this will change because this has changed because now we have all the dots on the upper side of the bus level, and hence the slope of the line has changed. So like this, you can create any number of designs, any number of variations that are there. So, for example, we have a design which essentially translates to something like physics or tax. For example, we have a design which looks like this, wherein we have multiple pleats happening around the neckline. But this, what we will do is again let us take the same pattern, and let's just keep it properly, and then we are good to go with this one's better because, of course, as you can see, here we have multiple cuts. We don't want our pattern to just fall out. Now, on this design, what is happening here is that we have cut like this, this, and this. Now, what we will essentially do is first we will hold this dart and we'll open up the bottom dart. So, when we open up the bottom dart, upper part of the pattern becomes smooth. Now, let me just redraw this line because this has to be straight. So now this becomes the line. This becomes the line. And this becomes the line. Now I will take I fold this pattern, this part. I put a tape here. I will start cutting the patterns on the lines that I have made. And before I cut this one, I will also fill the dot. This is fill it, place the color tape here, so the dot remains closed. and then I cut it. So now what I have is essentially a design which will give me this design. We have dart intakes, which has been translated at 3 points. And these 3 points is essentially become three folds like pleats, and it will give me a design like this. Now, at times we do not need a dart or a pleat. We simply want something which is much more streamlined or much more smoother in nature. Design which looks like this. And this is essentially what we call as a princess line. A princess line can be like this, and the line is going from shoulder to the waist, or we can also have a princess line which looks like this. It is coming from the armhole to the waist. It's a very common princess line that we see often in terms of you know um, blouses or princess cuts, crop tops. So to do this, what I'll do is I'll take this one, this pattern, let me just basic ones now so that I can get my damage it. So this one, the first one, I can use the original bodice also. First one, let us take the first design, the first bodice, and the second one we will take the manipulation so that we can talk about a little about variations in this case. It will just complete the pattern. Essentially, to make this design, I have to take out the dart and convert it into two parts. So the first part, of course, will be this panel, the first panel. The second part will be this panel. We will just cut out the dart. Before doing so, what will happen is if I cut it like this, I will get a bit sharp piece around the first. I'll take the French curve and I will blend around the first point. So we have enough ease to take care of this blending. Uh, I'll also mark few things so that I do not forget later because once I cut it, it will be difficult to we have the bust level. So with that, I can mark the grain line here. This one is easy. But if I do not mark the grain line on this pattern at this point, it becomes difficult for me to do later. So for the second panel also, we mark the grain line before I start cutting. Now let's start cutting it. And also mark a notch here at this point so that I will have a reference point of stitching while I cut patterns. Let's cut out the pattern first. Now the cut panel is the type is now cut out of two panels. First panel in the center one, let's cut out this. The second panel I will use the bonded line. This creates the second panel. We will, in this case, we will write our space and borders. Uh, this is just on the front, the center front panel. I think essentially has to be in case you have it on first, you can have it as part one. Then the differences, what is this a side screen panel because of course this is a side screen line. And this has to be cut to because it is cut wise and based on both the sides. Now for the second design, so this essentially will give me the design of this second design. However, I will use this pattern. Let us trace it first. We can choose this design. And now we identify where in the hole we want this cut to be. So let us decide what we want to put here. First, I take a straight line to join this. And now I will take the French curve to again because we cannot have a pointy part like this. We take the curved part of the French curve, which is, so that I can just curve it the maximum, curve it. And again, like we did for the Francis line, I will ensure that I will same line, otherwise it will go wrong. We also mark the notch points so that gives me a reference to stitch. So in this case, I will have to blend both the lines so that round it, try to cut it. So let's cut it now. Becomes the first panel. I cut out the remaining part that is there. This becomes the second panel. So again, what will we write? We will write without princess line for this with the center and panel, and B, mark it as that one and mark on full sign on the edge. This one I will write again as princess line copies, right seam, and right, and this has to be cut to because it will be placed on both sides. Now, when we make tile lines, there is one more design that often comes. This design looks something like this is called an empire ring. This is the same design which we use to make our anatomy suits. So this is essentially a seam line which is below the bust level. So it goes through the bust base and it essentially helps us to create a more fitted look just below the back. To make this design, we will take this dark manipulated pattern that we did make just now to the base. Uh, in this case, unlike the other uh, style line where we could cut away all the dark, we actually left out with a small dart which we call as a remnant dart. We will have to extend it relevant in the design. We will use a small dart just above the uh, seam that is finished. So everything we can show that there is an upper level. First, we need to understand how far away we need to bring that. So in general, it is about 3 inches to 3 inches, 3 inches, about 3 inches from the bust level. So first we mark 3 inches down line at the center point. We also mark it in the dark legs and then right seam. This connect these points first. This two and this two. Because we will not connect the points between the dark legs because we will have three here. If we three here, raise the first leg, hold the back, hold the back. We should take hold the back. My here we set up one small and keep that is done. Just like we would create for the piece. We take it and blend it. We run the tracing wheel upon it. We cut this pattern set. Usually we have a pattern which is with a smaller bodice block with a small dart here. We are also left with this part of the pattern. So this is now cut through. We take the sellotape and we will keep this out close. And we will replace this block. This is how this block will look like. Just cut it out now. Take these two patterns and make such a marking from it. Like first with a plain line. This is the plain line would be okay. It will write your entire important. This is front top panel. I see. Here again, if I write part one, we will mark the control sign. Here we write five and what is and bottom panel. How the pattern will come out for the empowered line. Multiple spots. There are multiple ways we can pick and the variations of it. The skirts has pretty much easier parts. So one way to do it is to have a flared skirt and then we take this pattern and to trace it. Technique of it is that when we pin the point of the card where it ends. So we'll take a pin and put it here. I will start tracing the dark skirt, trace the hem. I will not trace the side. I will rotate the dark skirt so that it on this point make the dot closes so that dot like 2 comes to dot like 1. And now we take the side pin. We do this. So here evidently we get a flared skirt. We can just bend the bottom of this skirt. So this is what we call as a flared skirt. This is front panel. Of course, this has to go on front because it's continuous pattern. This is how we can do a variation of a flared skirt. We can also take the same pattern. Let me just cut it inside. can make, inverted it and make panels from the skirt also, like the ones we do for lehengas. We can flare it out more also. We can make even more broader lehengas. Um, there is another technique wherein we can flare the skirt, wherein we can just simply do some calculation. For example, we take the waist, the waist depth is, let's say, 26 inches. So we do it in terms of a calculation wherein we consider it as a circle. And uh, so essentially, we calculate it as 2 pi r as 26 inches. So the circumference of the circle, and from that we can calculate the arc, and which would be the radius. And essentially, let's say this is the coordinate point. Mark the radius for like this, and the outline. We can also do that in case the full length. Completely, we call these as circular skirts. Again, a skirt which is very commonly used in our children's wear, women's wear, where you can again cut out um, different panels that you can create different designs. So yeah, with this we complete the variations of designs that is there. If there are any questions, I can answer it now. Okay, I can
Ma'am,
then, yes, Prerna.
ma'am, they have to submit these cutouts to our nearby centers for the assignment.
No, you did not have to submit it in the center. I gave you my email ID. You have to submit this the photographs of the patterns to the email ID. Take photographs and make a file and send it to an email ID.
Okay, ma'am.
Yes, RC Bhubaneswar, I think we can end this session in that case.